Welcome back to the second episode of Python MasterClass for Beginners. Here we are trying to learn the basics about the Python programming language. So in the last video, we learned how to perform basic arithmetical operations in the Python command line. Today, we are going to use its own IDLE and learn to create and use variables. So without further ado, let's get down to the second episode of Python MasterClass for Beginners. Hey guys, my name is Shardul, hailing from ShaVash tutorials and creator of shavash.co.in. I am also a junior research fellow at the Indian Institute of Information Technology, Allahabad. Before we begin the tutorial, if you are interested in any tech product, software or language, be it for coding or research purposes, then be sure to subscribe by clicking the red subscribe button on this channel and also the bell icon next to it so that you never miss an update. Also, there's a whole playlist of the masterclass in the description so that you can go to the other videos when you're done with this one. So let's begin. So we have done some work with mathematics and operations related to it in Python in the command prompt. We can also do that in the Python's own IDLE. Let's open it. Just go to the start menu of your computer and type IDLE. See, it shows us the IDLE Python window. Just click on it and a white screen will appear. In the white screen, you can see that your Python version is given, along with other details of your Python software. Where the cursor is blinking, you can start writing your commands to execute them. Let's try to write the basic arithmetical operations that we did in the last video. You can find the link of that video in our description. So let's add two numbers. Type 2 plus 4 and press enter. The output is given as 6. Now let's subtract two numbers, 7 minus 6, and press enter, and we get the output as 1. Now let's multiply two numbers, 4 multiplied by 8, and press enter. We get the output as 32. We divide the two numbers. Let's type 4/2 and press enter. Now if you remember from our last video, we can see that instead of giving us an integer output, it is giving us a float output. To get the integer output, we just have to use an extra slash for division. And we get the integer output. So as you can see, whatever you could do in your Windows command line, you can also do it on the Python IDLE. Let's now deal with a new concept. Let's begin by creating variables. For these variables, we will assign the values. So let's begin. When we type x is equals to 5 and press enter, let's see if the value of 5 has been assigned to the x by printing x. And yes, we have the output. So let's try now to do some operations with this variable. For that, we create another variable y and give it the value of 8. So you can do multiple operations using these two variables. For example, x plus y, and you get the output as 13. X minus y, which gives you the output of minus 3. X multiplied by y to give the output as 40. X single slash y to give us the float value, and x double slash y to give us the integer value of the division. So every single step has given us the required output. We can also use the variables to store the strings. For this, we type a is equals to quotes ShaVash, close the quotes and enter. And let's print a to see that it has indeed stored our string. Let's create another string as tutorials. And let's print it to see that the variable has been stored with the string. We can then print the concatenated string by writing the syntax as print a plus b, close the brackets and enter. So you can see the concatenated string has been printed. We can use these variables to print sentences or multiple words also. Now we come to another important topic for this masterclass. Let's work with some lists. So imagine if we have to assign multiple values to a single variable, that we can do by using the lists. So for assigning the values, we will write nums as the name of the list is equals to, open the square brackets, then give it multiple values like 10, 25, 20 and 30. We close the square brackets and press enter. Now when we print nums, we can see that the list has been stored in the variable nums. So using this, we can print any number of the list by calling the place of that number. With this, we will have to simply write the position of the number that we have to find preceding the name of the variable. So we write nums square brackets 0 square brackets closed and enter. Now imagine we want to print the first value of the variable. We can simply do it by writing nums square brackets 0 close the square brackets, enter. It is important to note that the numbering in Python begins with 0 instead of 1. So whenever we will use something like lists, we will always begin the numbering with 0. So you can see that the number has been printed. So by using this, we can print any number of the list by calling the place of that number. Just remember to count the places from 0. Now imagine you want to print the numbers from third place to the last place. You can do so by just typing nums square brackets. Since it is the third value, so 0, 1, 2, then a colon, and because we don't have the end value, we just close the square brackets and press enter. So you can see from the list, the third value and the fourth value, that is our last value, has been printed. Now if we want to store the string in the list, we can also do that. So let's create another variable namely names, and let's store the name of our brand into it. So first string can be ShaVash, then comma, single quotes, tutorials, single quotes closed and the square brackets closed, and enter. Now let's print it to check the output. So yeah, you can see that the results are absolutely fine. We can also add the list with different data types that can be stored in a list, which means we can save integer, string, float, etc. in the same list. This facility is usually not given in the traditional programming language. So let's create another variable named values and check this out. Let's store a string ShaVash, then comma, then an integer number 6, then a float number 28.8. Let's close the brackets and press enter. Let's print the variable now. So yeah, you can see that the list has stored all the three different kinds of data types. We can also have a list of lists. For this, we can type add as a new variable to store nums and names. When we print add, we see that both the lists have been stored in the variable. We can also use different commands which are associated with lists like append, insert, copy, etc. For using the same, you can use the first command as append by typing nums.append and the value that you want. Let's say we want 45 to be appended in the list. When we print nums, we see that at the end, the number has been inserted in the list. We can also use insert command like nums dot insert bracket 2 comma 44 bracket closed and enter. So the first value in the insert command tells Python the position where the value must be entered. So here it tells Python that the second position of the nums list is where the entry is to be done, and the second value in the insert command is the value that has to be entered into the list itself. So this command is basically telling Python that in the nums list, insert a value of 44 in the second position. When we print it by typing nums and press enter, we see that the exact same thing has happened. The list has a number inserted in it in the second position, and that number is 44. We can also use remove command by typing nums dot remove 45. When we print nums, we see that the 45 has been removed from the list. We can also use nums dot pop command to pop a number out from the list. This will print the number that was present in the second position of the list and subsequently remove the number from the first position. You can see that by printing the list. The first position has been altered by removing the number. Now we can use other various commands like min nums to find the minimum of the list, max nums to find the maximum of the list. We can also find the sum of the list by using sum nums to find the addition of all the numbers inside the list. We can also sort the numbers in the list by nums dot sort. When we print nums, we see that the list has been sorted. Just a note that this will sort the list itself. So when you print numbers from the list will be sorted and the original list would be lost. A better practice thus is to use a sorted command. This sorts the list for us but doesn't change the original list. For this, we type sorted nums. This prints the sorted list, but when you print nums, you get the same original list. We can also save the sorted list. We can do that by creating another variable. Here we call it new nums, and we assign the sorted list of nums to the variable. When we print new nums, we get the sorted list nums. So yeah, that's how it's done. So that right there is how you use Python ideally to run the Python code, along with defining the variables and all about lists. In the next video, we will talk about tuple and sets, which are another ways of storing values in a sequence. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss the next episode of this masterclass series. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video of the masterclass series.